Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a film where an introvert boy left all alone in his house after his mother's death. His beautiful sister starts living with him. What happens next? Watch the full episode to know. The story begins in a large house where many people had gathered that day. This house belonged to a woman named Natasha. Everyone was preparing for her funeral as she had recently passed away. Natasha had a 20-year-old son named Xavier. Xavier had always been a little different since childhood. Despite his mother's death, he didn't shed a tear. He sat quietly in his room, watching old videos of her. From time to time, Xavier experienced pain in his neck, so he often wore a medical collar around it. While all this was happening, a young woman arrived at the house. Her name was Ria. She was Natasha's eldest daughter. As soon as Ria arrived, the funeral rituals began. Xavier watched the funeral from the rooftop while Ria stood by the main door. After the ceremony, Ria approached her younger brother. She said, "I've sold my fashion showroom. From now on, I'll be living here with you." Ria had been living in another city for years where she ran her fashion business. Their father had passed away long ago, and now, with their mother gone too, Xavier was left alone in the house. So Ria sold her showroom and returned to take care of him. She knew her brother had always been a little unstable, and she constantly worried about him. A few days later, the story moves forward. Ria took Xavier out to a park for a walk. He rarely left the house, so he didn't seem too happy to be there. He started getting irritated with Ria, mostly because she was now living in what he considered his house. Xavier wanted her to go back to the city where she once ran her showroom. One day, he was standing by the window when he noticed a girl entering a nearby cafe. This girl lived in the same neighborhood as Xavier. Xavier often watched her secretly. Meanwhile, Ria also approached Xavier. She had noticed that he was staring at a girl. When she asked him about it, Xavier lied, saying, "I was just looking at the child." A little later, Ria took a bath and returned to Xavier. She began talking to him gently, saying, "If you like that girl from the cafe, you should tell me." At first, Xavier got irritated. But when Ria added, "You should definitely have someone to love," he blushed and rested his head on her lap. Ria softly ran her fingers through his hair. While doing so, she noticed that Xavier had become aroused. She didn't say anything. Instead, she quietly got up and went to her room. As soon as she entered, her own desire stirred. Seeing Xavier's reaction had ignited something in her too. She longed for someone to satisfy her, but there was no one. So she simply went to sleep. The next morning, Ria called her lover, Max, who lived in the same city. Ria used to meet him at her showroom. She invited him over, hoping he would help quench her thirst. Meanwhile, Xavier was watching TV in his room. He didn't go out much and spent most of his time glued to the screen. Rather than regular shows, he often preferred watching steamy movies. That day was no different. As he flipped through channels, he stopped on something a little more heated. Just then, Ria came to his door and said, "Some guests will be coming over today." Xavier replied, "You know I don't like guests." As night fell, the guests arrived. Ria welcomed them and began entertaining them, while Xavier stayed silent, keeping to himself. His entire attention was on Ria, and Ria also noted this. Ria's guests also had her lover, Max. Ria deliberately called Max so that he could quench her thirst. All the guests were eating and talking at the same time, but Xavier was still sitting quietly, and his entire attention was on Ria. As soon as the guests left, Ria brought Max to her room. Xavier had heard their voices. That's why he started watching them secretly. Right in front of Xavier's eyes, Max started making explosions in Ria's cave, and Xavier kept watching them quietly. The next morning, Ria comes to Xavier. She herself starts telling him that she had fun with Max last night. Xavier doesn't say anything after hearing her. Along with this, Ria started telling him everything. How Max made her hot, and how he made her thirsty. She was deliberately telling all this to Xavier, so that after listening to her, he would also get hot and make a girl his lover. Even at night, Ria comes to Xavier and starts telling him hot stories. She was doing all this so that the heat inside Xavier increases. The next day, both the brother and sister come to a cafe. Here too, Ria starts talking to him hotly. Ria had a relationship with many people. She tells Xavier about everyone, so that after listening to her, Xavier can be a little more manly. After a while, both the brother and sister were cleaning the house. Meanwhile, Xavier tells Ria that he wants to make explosions in her cave. Ria is surprised to hear Xavier's words. She says, "I am your sister, so I can't do anything with you." Hearing this, Xavier says, "I want to get my heat out and you should help me." Poor Rhea was trapped in her own trap. The next day, Rhea had called a girl to her house who used to sell her body and earn money. Rhea wanted this girl to get the heat out of her brother. Rhea also wanted Xavier to do everything in front of her. The girl quickly started making Xavier playful, and Rhea started watching quietly. As soon as the girl takes off Xavier's clothes, Rhea scolds her and drives her away. After this, she lies to Xavier that the girl was not very beautiful. That's why I couldn't see you with her. Actually, Rhea was jealous of the girl. That's why she drove her away. Xavier already wanted to have an affair with Rhea. And now, Rhea also wanted to be close to Xavier. The next day, Xavier's tutor arrived to give him his lessons. Xavier had always been a bit different since childhood, which is why his tutor visited regularly to teach him a special kind of curriculum. Soon after, Rhea invited some of her friends over to eat with the tutor. She was curious about him and wanted to get to know him better, hoping he could help teach Xavier more effectively. The tutor had a charming personality, which quickly caught Rhea's attention. He sat next to her, and Rhea began acting flirtatiously, even going so far as to touch his stick. Her behavior caught the tutor's attention too, and he didn't resist. Xavier, who was sitting across from them, noticed everything. He realized what his sister and the tutor were doing. But instead of reacting, he stayed silent and just watched. As time passed, Rhea and the tutor grew even closer. One day, they met at a park. Xavier happened to be there as well. When he saw them in a secluded corner, he rushed over in a fit of rage and began hitting the tutor. Rhea quickly stepped in to stop him and sent the tutor away. Afterward, she hugged Xavier tightly. When they returned home, she asked him, "Why did you hit the tutor?" Xavier replied, "I just don't like his face. I can't stand seeing him with you." Rhea got angry at his response. She slapped him and stormed off to her room. The next day, Rhea returned to the city where her fashion showroom was located. She immersed herself back into her work in the fashion industry. She also wanted to distance herself from Xavier because she could feel he was developing romantic feelings for her, which deeply unsettled her. One day, Xavier came to visit her and said, "I couldn't stop myself. That's why I came to see you." Upon hearing this, Rhea introduced him to Max, her current partner. She was living at Max's house, and now Xavier would also be staying there for a while. That night, Max and Rhea became intimate. Unbeknownst to them, Xavier was secretly watching. But this time, Rhea noticed him spying. The very next day, she started packing Xavier's belongings to send him back home. Xavier wanted to stay, but Rhea was determined to make him leave. This led to a heated argument between them. Rhea even began hitting him in frustration. When she grew tired, she said, "Fine, you can stay, but I'm going to marry Max." Xavier still desired Rhea, and seeing his persistence, Rhea reluctantly gave in. In the end, Rhea married Max. Xavier continued living with them and still had his moments with Rhea in secret. And that's where the story ends. Thank you so much for watching our video.